Wrestling Podcast. This is certainly one of the newest. Thomas S.K. Green and Prince Moxley Lopez bring you Whacked Out Wrestling.
Whacked Out Wrestling. You sound so formal calling me by my full, like, Mox is fine with me.
Well, it's usually easier for mine on this one, especially because most of these people who don't go to cage side seats probably wouldn't know who either of us are from Adam. Heck, I still think a few people who randomly come to our show because they think that I might be that guy from that one MTV show. So,
and I have no claim to fame, so.
Yes, and that's one of the pluses of this, where our bum is on your TV. So,
and just before we delve into Extreme Rules and other news of the day, there's a slight change tonight. If you notice, SK, I call him Greeny, is on the Smark City. We're trying, since we had a snafu this past Thursday with it not recording all the way through, we're going to try it this way and see how it goes.
Luckily, this is one of the pluses of having some radio experience, but absolutely no YouTube experience, except for my brief period as the ugly Paul brother. So,
we're working on it.
Yep. So this one goes to one of those rare cases that all the things outside the ring were more important than the Extreme Rules that we got beforehand. Rumors swirling that Daniel Bryan had gotten his contract renewed today for a 2-year deal have reported, and if that's the case, then probably the conspiracy theories out there.
Which conspiracy theory? Because there's a lot.
Like we had tried to discuss on the episode that will be the lost episode of Smark City or Whacked Out Wrestling, that Daniel Bryan already re-signed, but WWE was keeping it under wraps because they wanted to keep some mystery to the Miz versus Bryan match at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, there's no mystery now, so that's probably for a good thing, or it's a case that they're just not doing the Miz-Bryan match at all. So,
I think that we're still getting that.
Well, we might.
SummerSlam, I think there was a reason, and I don't want to talk about it before we actually get into Extreme Rules. Some things happened during that show that makes sense for like officially re-up today. Like, okay, we're gonna scratch this, and now you're re-upped. We're behind you. You're behind us. Let's go.
Yeah, but even then, it would be a moot point because they couldn't really do much to really scrap it this one. If you remember the fact that the Miz wasn't even in the building, he was in Washington for the All-Star Game festivities. So
yeah, he was. Yeah, the celebrity softball game.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to wrap my head around. Anyway, but yeah, he couldn't have been there anyway. It wasn't. I know a while back a rumor started that he was going to be the cause of a fuck finish, but once that came out that he's going to be in DC and they're in Pittsburgh, and even then there was some kind of, nobody knew when the celebrity softball tournament was going to happen. He might be able to make a flight, but as soon as again, don't want to get into too much of what happened on the card, but
so it is surprising why they went with the Miz anyway for it, because of the simple fact that you have someone like Braun Strowman, who's a bigger star, who's a babyface, who probably crushed the ball, is the son of a softball legend. Why didn't they go with him instead?
That had to be timing. You're not leaving Braun off an Extreme Rules card.
Well, I don't know. You could probably just go with someone else in these things, and heck, actually make Kevin Owens look more badass for it. So
I completely agree. Like, and hopefully next year timing is better because I want to see Braun in the celebrity softball game on All Star Weekend just to see. For those that don't know, his dad leads, like, has the all time record for home runs hit, and I forget the actual league name or whatever they, but in
Yeah, I
softball
think it was just
history, and
80s softball. So, and when you consider that Braun's a legitimate strongman, he could probably destroy things.
oh yeah, like it would be a fun watch for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of see why they didn't this year,
Hmm.
but maybe next year.
Yeah. Well, they also have the fact that Ms. and Mrs. is about to start up, so getting the person who's in this new TV show also helps there.
Right.
With all these actual stars on it, are we actually in a boom period and no one's telling us because we're too cynical to see it?
Yeah, I would. That's been my feeling for a while. The cynicism is outweighing what we're actually the whatever era, they say reality, whatever time frame we're in right now. There's stars, but there's also a lot of cynicism.
Mm-hmm. And that probably is more a result of the fact that WWE is niche, but niche is the mainstream right now. And really, that goes down to it because WWE has successfully positioned itself as the geek culture professional sport. Esports is trying to do it, but really, pro wrestling has entered that level perfectly.
Yeah, it's your I don't know how to put this without because I know word good sometimes. Um, you have your sports, and then it's a clear number one past like your NBA, NFL, like WWE's running away with. And yeah, I'm gonna get some rebuttal of but viewership says differently, and but look at other viewership, for esports or the world poker that anything. And I still don't understand why poker's on ESPN, but that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're getting paid handsomely for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a live weekly program that, predetermined or not, is sporting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it
I mean,
also adds to the same fact that people think that the ratings are bad by what the rules are, but if pro wrestling was getting the ratings it was getting in 1998 or 1999, they would have Walking Dead ratings. They would have NFL ratings. They would
yeah,
be the show everybody in the world was watching and talking about. And pro
it wasn't.
wrestling is just never going to be that sport. It
Yeah,
just will.
the ratings were really good, great back then, but they still weren't like you were, The Walking Dead, and like it wasn't just everybody in the world basically, watching wrestling. They went through a high point, but at that time, this was, well before DVRs and Hulu and other ways to watch, and like they were still their position really hasn't changed as far as being the number one non NBA soccer, that kind, like their position really hasn't fallen that much.
Yeah, and that's really the whole thing that there's never going to be a truly mainstream one. if they have a star for someone like an Hogan or an Austin or Rock, they can be kind of mainstream, but they're never going to be the true mainstream show on it. There's just too many people in the world who just plain don't like wrestling to make it a true mainstream darling.
Right, and every once in a while, and I would include Cena on that list. Not to the point of Rocky or Stone Cold, but Cena after the Attitude Era, and those stars, Cena would be, I think I'd consider the most mainstream to come since then.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, some of it is like half joking, and then you get this bullshit of this earlier this year with the Nikki and John breakup, and it's making TMZ news, and that was just
Yeah.
I'd rather not talk about that, but it made outlets. Sports Illustrated was covering it, for crying out loud.
Yeah. And that's really this thing on it where they actually covered the Cena and Nikki breakup, where last year on it and the year before when everyone was talking about Alberto Del Rio and Paige's struggle, no one in the mainstream media was covering it. So
no one. TMZ, I think, ran a couple reports when they got into um, not legal trouble, but a couple of times it was flashy enough or fascinating enough that they, just a little article on their website or. But don't fault her. But every once in a while, my wife watches TMZ. The TV show comes on weekdays, 9 o'clock our time. Every once in a while, she'll watch that, and not only that, but also what's that show she watches in that? The Talk. It made it on both of those shows. The Nikki John Cena breakup, like that. If you want to call it mainstream, so be it. But at least it got there. The talking definitely wasn't talking about Alberto Del Rio and Paige.
yeah. Well, it also had the fact that John Cena is a true star of the industry, and Nikki Bella isn't exactly a star, but as women wrestlers go, she'd probably be one of the closest things to a crossover star that they have on it with all the things she did. And both Alberto Del Rio and Paige are only people that the hardcore fans care about, by and large.
Yeah, like you go up to a lot of people, even, well, I can't say casual. Um, by and far, you know, Alberto Del Rio, Paige, people are gonna like, who are those? You say John Cena, even by extension, I don't mean that in a rude way. They You have a better chance of someone knowing those two than you do over Alberto and Paige.
Yeah,
And that's just
and that just goes to the stories of people understanding the love triangles of their favorite wrestlers. Speaking of which, Hulk Hogan is a Hall of Famer again.
yeah, that happened today too.
Yeah. Well, that one's one of those things where it's basically a casual resignation it was going to happen, whether or not the problem went through. And honestly, it was for the best because I'm not going to defend what Hogan said on this one at all, and I'm definitely not going into that whole minefield of, well, what about Trump for those things, because that's just something that is way too big for a little wrestling podcast to deal with.
Yeah,
But just
that's
look at the facts. Timmy Snuka fucking killed someone. Fabulous Moolah fucking pimped people. Even someone like Steve Austin beating the crap out of his wife. All those people are in the Hall of Fame, and no one had a problem with it whatsoever. And Hogan was the line. Really, it just goes down to if you're not going to drum out those people from the Hall of Fame, then you really eventually had to say, yeah, why not put Hogan in the Hall of Fame? It's just give him the honor and just never speak of him again.
And see, that's what I'm worried about. Like, and this is a very touchy subject, and we're going to try to be a little delicate, or as best we can. Um, I think, see, and reports started coming fast and furious this afternoon of not only did they reinstate him, which WWE confirmed, then reinstate him into the Hall of Fame specifically. WWE confirmed that. Then when the news broke about Daniel uh, resigning, it also broke that I think in one report that they were included together that Daniel Bryan has re-signed with WWE, and they signed Hogan to a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
And then later it came out that no, that obviously he's reinstated into the Hall of Fame, but they haven't actually signed a contract at WWE. I try remembering where things came from just to give people the credit. I think it was PW Insider that actually reached out to WWE, and WWE told them, no, we have not, as of right now. And they, in their tweet or release or whatever, they worded it wrong. Like WWE, they used the word not twice in whatever release that was. Like, are you saying you can't confirm you not gave him a contract? It was just weird wording. It was a crazy afternoon for wrestling.
Yeah. And honestly, it just goes to if they're just putting him back in the Hall of Fame, go for it. Again, there's a lot of really shitty people in the Hall of Fame, so what Hogan did wasn't worse than what those people did. It was bad, but it wasn't worse. But at the same time, what value does Hulk Hogan have to the product in 2018? He can't work a match anymore because back's too shot to do that. He can't even do much there. He can't cut a promo anymore. We saw that from his last run.
And it gets tricky when like what's I don't really like if things are obviously bad, like to try to put them on a scale of just how bad, like bad shit's bad shit. Like this bad shit and this bad shit. Like they're both bad shit. So
yeah.
But that's what I was saying. Like, and that's what I'm scared of. That they are going to bring him back to TV.
Yeah.
He is. They've already said that they're doing a WWE network. The whole him back with the roster. That was filmed for a network special.
Yeah, but that's also the thing where even if you consider the things outside the Hall of Fame, there's not a lot of things that you can do with Hulk Hogan in this era. I mean, as an ambassador, do you really want a noted racist as your brand ambassador? Stephanie McMahon has done great things for the brand work in WWE, and you don't want Hogan as any part of that. If it's merchandise for those things, do you really want to wear a Hulk Hogan T-shirt in 2018? Do you really want to say, "Yeah, I'm on Team Racist right here, totally on this side"? And if you're saying, even just throw them in the video games for those ones. On the plus end, that would be a positive because if you're pro Hogan, you can play as Hogan again. If you're anti Hogan, you can beat the crap out of Hogan and it'll be very satisfying. But even then, 2K Sports runs the WWE games and their real bread and butter is the NBA 2K game. And it's their bread and butter because the NBA 2K games have managed to mix black culture and pro basketball in a way that it just feels right, and it feels like an overarching thing for pro basketball. It's got soundtracks curated by rappers, guys like Spike Lee doing the story mode. Do you think 2K would risk any of that stuff to get Hulk Hogan in the two WWE games?
Nah, no. I, I'm with you. Like, put him back in the Hall of Fame. Like, just reinstate him. I mean, there is no like physical Hall of Fame anyway. Put him back in there. Wash your hands of it. Let it go.
Yeah.
Like, don't. Maybe in a game, but nothing on television. No new line of Hogan merchandise or old line. Just okay. He's reinstated. If nothing else, and I don't mean this to come across the wrong way, and I probably will because I'm good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Just so we don't have to hear about Hogan anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he said, extremely fucked up. But it seems like every month or a couple of weeks we're hearing, you know, Hogan's talking WWE, WWE's talking to Hogan,
Mm-hmm.
and interviewers asking anyone from Vince to Steph to Triple H, Hogan. Okay, he's back in the Hall of Fame. Now
Yeah.
shut the fuck up about him. Let's move on.
Yeah, because right now the problem is that if they weren't going to put him back on TV, then it would be a problem on it. But they're going to put him back on TV.
Yeah,
They're
and that's where
quietly resigned to the fact that they're going to put him on TV and they're going to put him in an angle with the New Day. You know it, I know it, dogs know it.
and that's just such a surely somebody somewhere has to say, we're not really this fucking stupid, are we?
Well, they were stupid enough to have the New Day induct the Fabulous Freebirds. And
Well,
Michael
yeah,
is not just a racist, he's a systemic racist. He's the
yeah.
booker behind the you don't have to give a black wrestler a gimmick because he's black is his gimmick thing. So they are that stupid. They are absolutely that stupid.
Well, yeah, and with the trying to do the fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal, and yeah, they are that stupid. And that's probably me just trying to like we've gone through this shit so many times through the years. Like learn your lesson like and not sweep under the rug because there's no forgiving what was said per se.
Yeah.
But if you just make it a non-starter, then
Yeah.
it'll be a non-starter. Just okay, you're reinstated. Now shoot, shoot.
Yeah, and that's really the problem because if he was truly contrite and he really wanted to prove he was a changed person on it, let the guy in on these ones. Because one thing that this generation needs to learn is that there are second chances, even if you've done something screwed up on it, and you have a chance at forgiveness if you want forgiveness. The problem is Hulk Hogan doesn't want forgiveness.
Yeah,
He keeps saying that and he's kept whining about people in the hurricane who lost their power on it when he had power for it. He's even as for apology here, you could just hear PW Insider's report and saying, I'm sorry I got caught. I didn't know that I was being recorded. It's
yeah,
not that I don't I apologize for these. I just didn't know I was being recorded.
yeah. That was his. According to that report of sources that were in that meeting, that was his takeaway. Wasn't I love everybody? Just don't say stupid shit. Period. Um, you know, any other thing he said. Just know that there's cameras everywhere. You could be filmed and recorded without like that was his the biggest takeaway from that was hey, if you want to do or say stupid shit, just know you might be recorded. Not that saying or doing the stupid shit's the problem. It's you might be recorded.
Yeah, and that's really the problem that we have to weep for Hogan there. I mean, who else had that problem? You're out there in a sexual situation with your best friend's girl. You're plowing her. You have to keep seducing her on it. So you go with a multiple minute diatribe against people of another race from you. We've all been there, right?
Yeah, and hopefully
Worst
I
was,
will. If you don't catch the sarcasm from Greeny, he's being very sarcastic.
yeah, yeah. That's the problem with being too deadpan. It always leads to
Yeah,
a problem.
just in case. I didn't want like a hellacious blowback that
Yeah. Let's make it sure we don't approve of racism here. This is not a
no,
racist podcast.
no, not even close to it.
But still, it just goes with this same problem there. And if if he was truly contrite, then let him come back. But the guy is just not contrite. And it
Yeah,
goes to the same problem that even if he never said that word on it, you look at the transcript of what he said, and it would be incredibly racist no matter what term he said.
yeah. And no matter what word you replace it with, it's bad.
And it's worse when you consider that they found this, that people didn't even mention the context of that one, but the person he was talking about was not some random person. It was a black billionaire who was financing Brooke Hogan's music career and a lot of Hulk Hogan's business ventures, and his son, who was Brooke's boyfriend at the time. These people were considered allegedly some of Hogan's best friends. The
Yeah,
guy fully believed he was Hogan's closest friend, and then he finds out in this video that he just saw him as just someone to make money off of.
yeah.
That
It,
is just screwed up no matter what it was.
that compounds it even more so if possible. Like not only are you racist, but you're using people.
Yeah. And it was worse because the one thing people defended Hogan before on it was, oh, he's a compartmental racist. He may hate the race, but he thinks that the people he knows are good people. And then you realize this context, and no, he doesn't. He sees
Yeah,
everybody as just a dollar sign.
yeah. Let's move on from this topic because
Yeah, we could go hours on just Hogan
yeah,
being a cockhead alone. So going into this Extreme Rules pre-show, and
extreme.
earlier on
Oh my god. Sorry, I have to get my Joey Styles in every once in a while.
no problem. Earlier before the .com and after the lost episode, we found out that we had an extreme luchador match with Andrade Cien Almas taking on Sin Cara, and also the extreme notice that Andrade Cien Almas still exists.
Hey, we just saw him last Tuesday.
Yeah, but we see him again 2 weeks in a row, so they're actually starting to use him.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah, it's really one of those pluses where Sin Cara is just a jobber right now, and he's pretty much just the guy you use to lose to Almas. But Almas just is excellent in the ring. Zelina Vega added so much to that act. She might be the
Selena,
most unsung hero in this company right now. So
I will put my heart eyes for Selena Vega aside, but yeah, she is, and she already was down in NXT. Like she was before she even came to NXT. Like she's really a good character. She's
yeah,
a good actress. Like she's really good.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, that was the first pre-show match.
mhm. And of
They
course Andrade Cien Almas got the win, and that actually helped things because it added a random SmackDown match to the show. So
and I in my little notes. A pretty good match. A couple of scary spots.
Mhm.
The the back apron spot, and then the Hurricanrana. Because that the back bump on the apron just looked like, why are we doing that on the, like, the crowd is maybe 20% full. Who really is watching the pre-show? Why are we doing that kind of bump? And then the Hurricanrana was just uh, could have ended in a disaster because it was kind of botched.
Yeah. Well, that's really the problem because with the apron bump, I think that was just Almas is still ingobernable, so he probably thought he was back in New Japan. So,
Yeah,
but
it was a good match. It was a nice, fun opener.
yeah, and really that's all you can ask for on it. A good match with some upward mobility and some people who need to be built up a little bit more.
I saw on some comments. I didn't watch SmackDown Live this past week. That they basically just replayed, except for the one spot that they just replayed last week. But I thought it was a good match. It was a nice little fun, except for, like, please don't die a couple of times. Like,
Yeah.
it was a fun match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really had nothing much to say about it because it was just continuing to build up Almas, which works because you do him right, you have the Hispanic star that WWE has been longing for.
Yeah, it it, it served its purpose,
Mm-hmm.
because even if you weren't watching, there are other ways you can watch the pre-show YouTube network. So I had to watch on YouTube on my phone. I
Yeah,
won't throw my wife under the bus here, but that's okay.
yeah,
Um, it even if you didn't watch it then, people were talking about it, so you may go watch it or seek it out, and
mm-hmm. Yep, and
it's
that
a baby step to almost becoming a big star,
yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. And that goes to the second pre-show match where Sanity took on the New Day, and this was actually a positive for the fact that it was still on the pre-show because it meant that Hogan wasn't going to show up in that match. So,
Yeah. Uh, in between that, real quick, they did a Shinsuke backstage interview where the panel on the pre-show trying to ask him questions. I love the Hill Shinsuke Nakamura promos.
yeah,
The bad connection.
hmm
Like, it's just so. And he didn't even have an earpiece in his ear, but he's acting like, oh, now I can hear you.
yeah,
And it was just fun.
yep. It just says something about the New Japan stars on this one. They had one of the biggest stars in New Japan come to WWE, and then he successfully got over by turning him into Toru Yano.
I can see that comparison.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just thought it was a fun segment
Yeah,
because he played it so coy. Like, seriously, can for like the first minute, like, seriously, can you not hear Renee, like, asking? And then, like, oh, okay, no, at least it's better than the no speak English.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I thought that was a fun little couple minute segment. Okay,
yeah.
now on to New Day and
Yep, and
Insanity.
this one was one of the few extreme matches on the card and a tables match, but it just was what it was for the most part. It was perfectly acceptable, perfectly meh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was decent. It wasn't a bad match per se. It was, but it wasn't like, oh god, these guys are so bad, you know, like chemistry wise, or
yeah,
like it was a a 6-man tables match on the pre-show. Like
Yeah.
it did its job.
Yep. It was perfectly solid but unspectacular. It was a good 2.5-star match. It was the Saturn of pro wrestling matches. It was the Cody Rhodes match of WWE matches. Just solid, but you're not going to talk about it much after about 15 minutes.
You know, was it? Oh shoot! The Big E spot where he where they threw him over the top and he almost hit the back of his head on the apron. That looked kind of scary.
Yeah. That's one of the problems on it where New Japan does the apron spots because of a specific reason. They're fucking insane. WWE is the people who are smarter at this stuff. You don't need to bring the apron spots to America, people. We can deal with it without them.
Well, I like apron spots. The one in the Amish match that just looked.
Yeah.
But this wasn't even supposed to be an apron spot. He just almost pulled a Enzo, but instead of ropes, like the apron when he was flying out, and it did its purpose. It was a quote unquote extreme match that got us ready to go into the main card. And Sanity wins from
Mm-hmm.
was it Wolf that was holding,
Yeah. I think it was
and
Wolf, though. And Young was the one who threw him into the table, so.
yeah, did a off the top rope table outside. Sanity won.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Kofi or
I think it was Kofi, so. But that really just says how forgettable the match was. So. But all in all, it's a good one, and that goes to the actual pay-per-view. And in the first match, you know that it's going to be a show where the world turns upside down when they mention when the Deleters of Worlds won the tag titles. Because whenever they say those champions won the titles at this event, you know the titles are changing hands.
yeah, they went very specific too. Like they went all the way back to WrestleMania 34 with Braun and like they went straight specific. Braun and a 10-year-old kid won the titles, and then they Cesaro and Sheamus fought in the finals at the Greatest Royal Rumble against, and that's where the leaders of the world. Okay, so
Yeah, but that's just one of the many clues that you can get that there's going to be a title change in this match. If the WWE makes a big deal of when a team won the titles or when a wrestler won the titles, there's going to be a title change in that match, guaranteed. If a wrestler wears gold into the ring, they're going to win the tag title. They're going to win the title in that match. Likewise, if a champion wears gold in the ring, they're probably losing the match. And so, with all of that, you got the world turning upside down. It is the year 2018 AD. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel are champions in the WWE. My
and
God.
this was Bo Dallas's first ever any kind of championship on the main roster.
All three of the surviving social outcasts have won a tag title reign.
The match was fun. It's kind of from Matt coming back at WrestleMania 33 with Jeff to tonight. Like how far? I still like the the leaders of world.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a fun little gimmicky thing together. But okay match. I was kind of happy. Like I even clapped my hand.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just
it's one of those matches where you just feel happier for the team that won because they actually won the titles. Then you feel happy that you saw a good match, and that's
yeah, it,
a modern thing for it, where you like all the wrestlers basically. There's no one you actively despise as people as on it, and you just want everybody to succeed in their career.
yeah. And maybe this is leading, or like there was at least something happened in the tag team division
Yeah.
on Raw, like something, anything, because that's been lacking for.
Well, yeah, because and even if it's something like that, if even if the B team are basically used to be destroyed by the authors of pain so that their monster run can start or something like that,
Yeah,
at least it happened, it existed, and it was there. And even with the deleters of the worlds, even it's not so much that they fell from WrestleMania 33 to now on it because they weren't really meant to. It's that in October of last year, just about 9 months ago, everybody was excited because Broken Matt was coming to the WWE. The deal with Impact has happened, and they let him be broken. And
yeah,
9 months later, he's losing a title to Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas.
right. That's but the pop they got 2 years ago at 33, the Hardy Boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a, but yeah, I'm with you on the oh, we're finally gonna get the WWE version of Broken, and yeah, Jeff got hurt, and so they kind of had to do this spray thing, which I kind of like, but we're gonna need some more instead of just a promo. Yeah, like
Well,
give us something else.
well, it was more just the fact that the reason that Woken Matt hasn't worked so well, I've always been steadfast, is WWE is just too good to be bad. And really, that's the point on it. It's basically Broken Matt worked so well in TNA because TNA had hit rock bottom and kept digging until they made magma and kept digging till they made the Earth's core and kept digging till they flew out at the other side of the world and went into space. They were terrible. And then the Broken Verse came out, and it was such a breath of fresh air how they managed to get Lucha Underground style insanity into a TNA ring and into a legit wrestling promotion that it ended up amazing, but it was still meant to be so bad it's good.
Yeah,
WWE is too good to do so bad it's good. So Woken Matt has ended up the same as if you took an A-list cast, gave a gave a great director $150 million, and then went to Tommy Wiseau and said, "Here's your director, here's your cast, here's your budget. Give us the room again." It would still be bad, but it wouldn't be so bad it's good because the quality
right,
would just be too good for that.
right. And I'm pretty sure you're referring to like production quality and stuff like that.
Not just production quality, the quality of the performers in the ring, the quality
Oh
of
well,
the producers in the show, the quality of the entire company as a whole. All of those things have to be in play to the point that people who may be unsatisfied by WWE, but it's still a very good product. If you don't
uh,
believe that WWE is that bad a product, go to your local VFW hall and see the match with the promoter who is also the world champion fighting his drinking buddy who's his number one contender. and a bunch of random untrained yard tards fighting on this one. You'll see what a bad promotion looks like, and you will really appreciate WWE after that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But they're give it, you kind of went specific there, giving that kind of outline because it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the flip side of that coin of people are still doing VFW and being a whole without all the stuff you that were promoters champion and like there's but it's hard to and I'm definitely assuming you're outside of booking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's really the problem because the whole thing is just there's just too much quality there to be bad. And there's a level of bad and there's a level of bad. And the worst quality that they have is still it's okay, I guess. It's very rare we get something like Backlash, which gets to that
Yeah.
WCW 2000. It's not Star Wars Holiday Special. You can't even
Oh
watch
God.
this to laugh at it.
Yeah. And I'll throw another like the original Sharknado.
Yeah.
Like that was so fucking bad that eh, it turned out kind of okay.
Well, yeah, that's basically what Broken Matt Hardy was. Broken Verse was the Sharknado of pro wrestling. It was so bad that when you watched it end up, this is brilliant.
Yeah, but then they got people caught on to it, liked it, and now the sequels and stuff like that's not.
Exactly.
I like not cheesy enough, but now because the original Sharknado was just so like you said so bad. It was actually kind of good.
Yeah.
So then they went, oh, people like this. Let's make a second. Let's make a third. Let's make a fourth.
Yeah. And eventually they caught on to the joke and the joke seemed to be funny anymore. And
Yeah,
that's really the big problem with the Broken Verse because it's hard to do so bad it's good when all of WWE at its core is so bad it's good. It's bad, it's cheesy, it's not very good, but that's why we love it so.
surely you're going to talk about what happened in between that match and
Of
big
course,
match.
you have to on it because they finally
Speak,
addressed the Lesnar situation. And
speaking of news of the day,
yep, and hopefully on this one, I don't believe if our last one went, so I'll just reiterate again because it has to. You, Vince McMahon, you destroyed Roman Reigns, the guy you set up to be this guy who will lead you into the 2020s to prop up Brock Lesnar for this match. And you did all this and destroyed the chances in the 2020s to keep a guy who wanted to go to UFC and it couldn't even keep him. He left the company with the title and it went through. I hope it was worth it, WWE. I sincerely hope it was worth it.
for those that didn't watch, or Kurt did a backstage, requested a backstage interview to give us a Brock update and gave him an ultimatum. Brock, you show up at Raw tomorrow. Brock, you come to terms for a match, or Brock, you're stripped of the belt.
Yeah, and that'll actually tie into those ones because more than likely Lesnar will show up tomorrow, or at least Heyman will. More than likely, the terms for the title shot will be at SummerSlam. So we get Suplex City, bitch. And more suplexes, blah, 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 bling, 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 blah. And just another Lesnar match. And if not, they strip him of the title. And that'll
One
probably
way,
come in later on in the card.
one way or another, I'm just thankful they acknowledged it, and they're gonna, one way or another, it's coming to a head finally. And because I don't, and I say that with such um, reserve, because what if they don't? What if he does? Okay, I agree to terms. I'll face somebody at SummerSlam. I don't want to be on dark timeline, so I won't go any further. But what if he retains? Like Jesus Christ, man.
Well, that's one of the problems where at least we know that that won't be the darkest timeline. Because the darkest timeline would obviously be Lesnar picks his title, he picks his opponent, and then you hear, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
Oh God.
Now, 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 now.
No, please. See,
That
you went
was
too
the
dark.
darkest
You went too
timeline.
dark for even for me.
Yeah.
But I'm, if nothing else, like I'm damn sure tuning into Raw tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping by the end of Raw he doesn't show up, and he hasn't come to terms, and just do there's 5 weeks between now and SummerSlam. Do a small little tournament on Raw. Have the two finalists. Kind of like how the whole Universal title came about. Same pay per view even 2 years ago. And the two
Yep.
finalists were Rollins and Bell.
Well,
Just
if you're gonna do those things on it, this doesn't usually it was just gonna be in order, but just going past it. Honestly, Lashley deserved the win. He beat Roman Reigns tonight. He beat him decisively. On paper, he should be the one who gets the match with Lesnar.
yeah, if you go that direction, and I try so hard to say things that don't jump the show, but yeah, and if you want, we can. Was you already did. Um, so later in the show, it's Roman versus Lashley.
And
Uh,
really, that was just the case where, on the plus hand, they did the right thing. They had Lashley dispatch Reigns on it. They seemingly went in a separate direction on it, though it just adds to the darkest timeline on this one of tomorrow night on Raw them saying who Lesnar's opponent will be, and Lashley said, "You earned my respect in that match. I may have won, but in my eyes, you were the real winner, Roman. You get the shot with Reigns. You're the real big dog, big dog."
and we're not giving away the main event because they didn't main event.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty. I kind of liked the match. It was um, a hoss fight, if you
Yep.
will. Like it was just two big dudes just trying to game at Michael Cole. Claim yard.
Yep. And
It
really, that's all you want from him. Reigns
yeah.
is a good power wrestler. Lashley's a good power wrestler. That's all you want. The only problem on it would be the fact that people aren't buying what Roman Reigns is selling, and it's been a few months now, and who is Lashley? Heck, for
Yeah.
all his time in WWE, who is Lashley? All we get on this one, it says something that the Sami Zayn Lashley feud was so bad, and it was so necessary because the feud was basically added. Uh, he was in the army. He loves his family. Blah blah blah.
He was a Marine.
Yeah, there is
But
absolutely nothing interesting about Bobby Lashley, and there wasn't anything interesting in his earlier run. And even in TNA, it was hard because Lashley had the time in TNA to come up with a gimmick, and he came up with Brock Lesnar.
the match itself, like, good match.
Yeah,
Really good. Just two dudes beating the shit out of each other.
yeah, and
You know what?
that's really the weirdest thing of the Reigns hate. He's a good wrestler. He's just
Yeah,
an excellent. Whenever he's in there, you never know. You always know he's going to put on a good match. He's
yeah.
always putting on pretty good house fights. There's that. So just the wrestling part is just weird.
And I don't get a lot of the like the Roman hate. Like, not to just go full. Let's talk about Roman hate for an hour or whatever. But
Yeah,
uh, the negatives that are brought about don't add up to what's being presented.
yeah,
That's not. I just don't follow
mm-hmm.
the things that a lot of things anyway that people
Yeah,
hate on Roman for. You can say that about any man, woman that comes through the curtain to have a match.
yeah,
He only uses so many moves. He don't, his music sucks. His attire sucks. Like, shit, you're talking about most of the roster here.
yeah. And really, it just goes down to it's just gone past. He's not my cup of tea too. I don't want him as a main eventer too. Damn it, I won't like him, and you can't make me.
Yeah,
And that's really the problem where it goes through. Where I don't think that a heel turn will save him because it'll just be, oh bullshit, you're just turning him heel so that because you think we'll like him. Well,
yeah.
screw you. I won't like him, and you can't make me. And
We're tired
likewise,
of him main eventing. Okay, he's not main eventing. Well, we still don't like him. So what can we think of now?
yeah, because honestly, it really is down to they probably want him to be fired, and that's really what it comes down to. Because and even then, if he went to the indie scene, they wouldn't like him there.
It's just a lot of it's just silly talk. Like 99.9% of it anymore is just silly talk.
Yeah, yeah,
And
because you
I,
can't.
it, I'm, like who you like, don't like who you like. That's fine with me. But when you get put to task, and I'm not one to put someone to task. Like if they say I don't like Roman Reigns, I'm not gonna. Well, why don't you? Like I'm not that. I'm not that guy.
Mhm.
But when I see things where other people do put them to task and their reasoning behind it, like that's just kind of silly.
Yeah, and it really is gotten to. The big problem is that, if anything, he's at John Cena in 2007 levels where the fans are starting to forget why they don't like him, but they just know they still don't like him. And the only problem is that Reigns hasn't had that one Royal Rumble 2008 moment where the fans will say, yeah, I don't like you, but goddamn, do I respect you.
Yeah. And then it was the whole crowd. I say whole crowd. I'm not saying everyone, but when you say whole crowd, you're talking about like majority. Whole crowd has its own meaning. Um, Cena in 15 with the United States Open Championship.
Yeah,
Like, oh shit, dude can work.
yeah.
Dude is good.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Cena's on pretty much a lot of lists of, top five, top 10, where before he'd make the opposite list of worst, top five, top 10 worst. And still to this day, you still get,
Yeah,
Cena sucks, but that's going to happen, and that's
yeah.
fair.
Now
Opinions are
Cena's not
opinions.
kind of affectionate, so you got to also keep that in mind. Where it just seems like Cena's in on the joke, the fans are in on the joke, so it's more like, "Ha, you suck." Yeah, you good one, you guys.
Yeah. Okay, to go back from the Brock news, next up we have Balor versus Corbin.
And
Oh,
this was
Stephanie appointed constable of Raw, Baron Corbin. I
mhm,
have to say it right. I don't need any
yes,
backlash.
yes,
Oh shit, that was a pun within a pun.
exactly.
Yeah,
And honestly, I think that Balor versus Corbin was pretty much the platonic ideal of a big little match. So you can't go wrong with that. The whole match was basically, I'm bigger than you. I'm going to do this one. And Balor gets out of it every time until he finally pulls out the win. Can't go wrong with that.
yeah. It was typical, and this isn't if you're listening like not Balor deserves to be on 205 already. Like it was typical big guy, little guy. Little guy finds a way to win through a roll up. It was a good match. Like it
Yeah,
might have been Corbin's best match at least in a while. Like
yeah,
they
probably
had
since he was on the main roster at least.
yeah. I was gonna say
That
main
also works
roster.
because Balor was also in the NXT in that same thing, so probably knew how to work well with Corbin.
Yeah, uh, it was an enjoyable match. Like
Yeah, yeah, it's not just because it's derivative doesn't mean it's good. Things like the big little match are the type of thing where there's such cliches because they always work.
yeah, and before we started the podcast, a lot of people hate this pay per view, and to be honest, I didn't hate it. Like it
Yeah.
later, it gets kind of uh, in a way, but it I didn't hate this pay per view. It wasn't. I mean, we just went through Backlash. If you
Hmm.
want to see a shit pay per view, watch Backlash from a
Yeah.
few months ago. That's a shit pay per view. This wasn't really a shit pay per view.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
And,
far exceeded my expectations. I went into it like the card did not, the going in, they far exceeded what the card said it should.
yeah. Yeah. Because we were saying this card looked terrible, and the
Yeah,
pay per view wasn't amazing, but it was a solid pay per view.
yeah, it
And
wasn't like A plus territory or anything like that,
yeah,
but it
this was
wasn't
solid
like
too. And C's
uh,
get degrees, so
yeah, it wasn't like I hate myself for watching this. I liked it.
yeah,
When I say like it was
yeah.
again, like
It's not really like it has to be good, but the one thing that can be said is that it was better than Money in the Bank, and Money in the Bank was better than Backlash. So they're clearly on an upward spiral here. So
yeah, and you made a comment that with the dual branded, like they're learning, like you can see the steps, whether they're baby steps or like they're since they ended the brand split, or not ended the brand split, but when they started the dual branded pay per views, like each one has slowly but surely gotten better.
mhm.
Started with Backlash, then Money in the Bank, and now here, Backlash was just god awful.
Yeah, like I said, I don't use WCW 2000 level lightly here. Heck, I would say that WCW 2000 stuff might have been better than Backlash. That might have been Heroes of Wrestling level bad.
Ooh, now that's Damn. Heroes of Wrestling bad.
Yeah.
Shit. Damn.
Mhm. Yep. And so if they get from that level of bad to Money in the Bank, which was okay, but the wrong people might have won, but it was it was a bad pay per view. And now to Extreme Rules, which is a okay pay per view, that's still going. That's still improvement. So
Yeah,
I'll give them a
you're
thumbs up.
you're going in the right direction at least.
Yeah.
And of course, there's gripes of now that it's still branded. People getting left off the card.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. And if nothing else, like it at least gives people a small break, like a
Yeah.
day off that they wouldn't normally have.
Yeah, but at the same time, it just goes to the case where, again, there was basically, let me check, about 10 matches on the card tonight, and it was about 5-5 for each show. So that
Yeah,
would be about as good as an NXT takeover for Raw and an NXT takeover SmackDown in one show. So five
and
matches is perfectly cromulent for a WWE pay per view.
I'm really liking that they're starting it an hour early.
Yep.
That really, because if it would have been, like 8 Eastern, 7 Central, Greeny's in Eastern, I'm in Central. If
Yep.
it would have ended at, you know, 10-ish or after, but the fact that it's ending
Yep.
earlier than it used to, yeah, it's still a long pay per view. Yeah, it's still, but it at least helps. Like, damn, it's Sunday night, tomorrow's Monday,
Mm-hmm.
like where you're already dreading the upcoming week, kind of thing. Like,
Yep.
I'm cool with watching a 4 hour show, 3.5 hour show,
Mm-hmm.
and it being over at 9:30 ish.
Yeah. And especially if things happen on that show, that's always good as well because this was the type of show where good things happened, and that goes to the next battle on this one of the SummerSlam video versus those dank maymays that the young folks like. And I say that one for the commercial on this one because it was still longer than the Jeff Hardy versus Nakamura match.
Did you throw a mayonnaise in there?
Yes.
Nice.
Well, that's what they basically tried for with that commercial. So it
Yeah. I may have lost my spot. We were talking about Balin Corbin next. I have on my list of Team Hell No getting stomped backstage.
yeah. Yeah, probably that was because I must have missed a couple of the matches on my list too. So Hell No
Oh,
gets stopped backstage, and it basically was just another thing. But who's going to be the partner on it? Will it be Kane, the Dudley Boys, the Undertaker player?
plastic mallets are a bitch.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened? Team Hell No walking down like a corridor or anything, getting ready for the match, and they get jumped by the Bludgeon Brothers, and Bludgeon Brothers take out both people in Team Hell No, Kane and Daniel Bryan. They send Bryan flying, and they attack Kane's ankle.
Mm-hmm.
They really mess over Kane and end it with bludgeoning. They hit him with one of their mallets in the ankle, and that's where we lead going on to the next match,
Yeah.
which
But
is good.
again, the next match was just pretty simple because it was just Jeff Hardy Nakamura, and it was just playing the song of his people.
The next match was Asuka versus Carmella.
Oh, I thought that was after this. So
No, we went Asuka versus Carmella.
okay. Well, it was a moot point because Asuka versus Carmella was even worse than a two-move match.
And of course, just like both women matches on the card, it wasn't about the people in the match. It was about somebody else.
But it's just a good, positive sign that WWE is going bigger. You have a beautiful Asian woman in Asuka and a woman dressed like a go-go dancer in Carmella, who is quite money, by the way. And you put in the go-go dancing cage the guy with no chin.
This was a pretty bad match.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it was.
it's just the problem where little guy in shark cage matches should not be a cliche for this one. It was the same as last year's Big Cass versus Big Show with Enzo in this shark cage match. The
I was
whole
gonna say, isn't this the third shark cage match they've done, at least in the past year? You
you
had
gotta
Enzo,
sell
then
toys, kid.
Jericho, and now this one.
You gotta sell toys, kid. We bought those cheap shark cages for Mattel. We gotta sell them somehow.
Like, wow, this
The
match was pretty bad.
yeah. But the
Uh,
sad thing is that's pretty much the reason for it. They just want to sell shark cage playsets.
yeah,
Pretty, maybe they'll end the shark cage gimmick now that Toys R Us died as the result of Gangrel hitting him with an Amazon package and sending him out of a battle royal. But that'll be it.
and if you don't get that reference, literally, Jeffrey the Giraffe was. It was Friday night or Saturday night.
I think Saturday.
Yeah, it was in a battle royal and got eliminated by Gangrel.
With an Amazon package, yes.
Yes, and that happened. So
Yeah.
there's not much to this match. Well, just from the beginning when Mella and Ellsworth came out, like you could see the stuff Ellsworth had in his hoodie, and like you just, if you didn't know when they made this match that it was going to end like this, I'm not sure what to tell you, but you just knew that.
Yeah. Yeah, this match was clearly
finish.
going to end with some screwed up stuff on it, and it just worked for it because James Ellsworth still looks like a joke. Carmella still looks like money. Asuka has basically been destroyed as a threat.
It ends when Ellsworth finally picks the lock on the cage with a bobby pin, opens the door, gets caught on the cage trying to get down. Ring crew comes out asking them to lower the cage so they can help Ellsworth. Asuka starts kicking the living shit out of Ellsworth. And Asuka starts kicking the shit out of the ring crew. Which shouldn't she be suspended for that? Didn't we just go through? You can't put your hands on the crew with Ronda. And then we just you can't touch those people.
It's fine if they get the crew on this one because it's a different show. I assume that Paige has a little bit more liberal view of attacking ring crew than Kurt Angle would, so it's probably a different story altogether.
Yeah, I was just that was a little snide.
Yeah,
Like,
but it still
she's
goes.
taking employees.
Yeah, it still
It
goes
was
with
just
the things that are the actual important news that everyone needs to know. Carmella beat Asuka twice. She beat Asuka twice. She beat Charlotte Flair twice, and she beat Asuka twice, and she is the champion. Mella is money.
no, is money, but
Yes.
I just they need to. I don't mind the chicken shit hill kind of finding ways to win. Um, Melo won this one by when they had the shark cage lowered to try to help Ellsworth. Noah hit Oscar from behind into the cage, knocked her out. 1, 2, 3. But it was so foretold. You just knew something was going to happen.
Yeah, and honestly, that's really the point where the big weakness with most of the things are Alexa and Carmella are both good chicken shit heels, but eventually the one difference is that at least Carmella wrestles like a chicken shit heel. She knows she's won. Alexa
Yeah,
just beats you up and then just and does proves that you were bad. She talks shit, she says you're bad, then she beats you at your best thing to know how bad you are. And that's why I'm gonna dread the Ronda Alexa match. Because that match should be 17 seconds. Alexa shows up, armbar. Alexa does that cool thing she can do with her double jointed elbow, and Ronda wins the title. What it's going to be is Alexa beats her up for 10 minutes, punishes her, Ronda gets a roll up, and wins.
yeah. I don't want to foreshadow too much on it. It's but this match just wasn't. It was okay. Like I might be giving it worse than it was. That might be me going into it knowing that something like this was going to transpire.
Yeah.
It it wasn't much of anything.
Yeah.
Like it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
just.
go ahead.
Oh, you can go.
Oh, I was just if you were done
Oh, it was.
with that match, I was going to go to the Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay. And that one
Which
was just. Did Jeff Hardy get get a wellness violation or something like that?
no, there he's hurt. He's been hurt, and that made sense until let's go ahead and get the obvious out there. This match literally took 3 seconds. Before the
Yeah.
bell rang, the referee was turned, trying to get the bell to ring,
Yeah.
and Shinsuke low blowed Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's on the mat like a fish. Finally gets up, says he's okay. Ref rings the bell, and Ken says, ah.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3. Shinsuke's your new United States champion.
And that is a good thing. Let us
Yeah.
celebrate by playing the song of Shinsuke's people.
Oh, Lord. So that
Yes.
match was like literally it took maybe even with the 2 seconds it took for the Kinshasa.
Yeah.
It was maybe a 5 second match, and
Yeah.
it's a champion.
But it wasn't even just the 5 second match that was why I was thought that this might be a wellness violation, but what happened after the match that also needed to be mentioned.
Yeah. And then a certain Viper appears out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then the Viper looks like he's going after it, but it's a swerve and he goes after Jeff Hardy.
It's a swerve that I called as soon as his music hit. He's turning.
Yeah.
Again. He's turning heel.
Well, it was also the problem because honestly, this would be a turn for the hardcore fans because if you knew anything about 2000s wrestling on it, Randy Orton versus Shinsuke Nakamura is a goddamn dream match. And they blew it by just having it end right there.
And but they really didn't. And see, this is what I was saying about when you were asking about the substance policy thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could maybe think that either that or injury or give him some time off with how that angle went. Basically, Randy Orton comes out, stares at Shinsuke. Shinsuke, as Randy's coming down, jumps onto the announce table and just stares back. Randy gets in the ring, stares at Shinsuke, and just like predictable,
Mm-hmm.
Randy turns around and just gives a hardcore like stomp on Jeff Hardy's balls.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's
Okay, he turned heel, but where, or maybe he couldn't get to Shinsuke. I guess Randy anymore is just in limbo, heel,
yeah,
face, queener.
yeah.
But
Randy
then,
Orton's probably gotten two. He's not face, he's not heel, he's just Randy Orton.
yeah, so he just wants to. And actually, I'll admit it, I marked a little when his music hit. Like, oh shit, he's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
but in defense,
then,
they probably needed him to be out on this one because the the SmackDown face side needed some good heels. So,
yeah,
like for
saying
instance,
saying all that to say that it wasn't a Jeff Hardy write-off because about 15 minutes later we find out that Jeff Hardy gets his rematch against Shinsuke this Tuesday,
yep,
and that might be the write-off. Like,
yeah,
I still think that's where they're going, giving Jeff time to heal and just a small break or whatever.
mm-hmm.
But
But that was
how can you critique a match that was 5 seconds long?
yeah, yeah. It was basically the right guy won. It had a few interesting things. So just on to Hell No versus the Bludgeons.
And of course, we get Daniel comes out first by himself,
Mhm.
no Kane in sight, and then the Bludgeon Brothers. And
Yep,
commentary went on and on about, can Daniel do it by himself? Can he do it by himself? The heart of a champion. Daniel's got so much heart, which we all knew that Kane would somehow come out and try to help.
yeah. It was almost a disappointing match that didn't mean as much as it could have. I mean,
Yeah,
it was Team Hell No's reunion match. It could be good there. And Daniel Bryan always had really good chemistry with Harper and Rowan. So,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
wasn't even just Harper on the, but he was an indie guy I recognized. So that means he's an indie darling on it because Daniel Bryan had good chemistry with Rowan too. So,
It it served its purpose, I guess. I guess I'm not sure, and I think this might. We talked about this. I believe it was off air, or it might have been pre-results. Like this might have been a way to get Kane, since Daniel Bryan has re-signed with WWE. Like, okay, now we can push him singles. Now
yeah,
we can do other things moving forward. And you also have to remember Glenn Jacobs, Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, is running for mayor, and this may have, it kind of felt not split second per se, but at least last minute. Like, okay, we're going to run this angle,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Though I don't think it'll be necessary if Daniel Bryan re-signs on it because just in this new Daniel Bryan run, the fans like him, but they don't need him anymore. And
Yeah.
that's really the big difference on it. So that I think they can deal with Daniel Bryan and Team Hell No. They can deal with Daniel Bryan as a mid Carter because they just don't need him anymore.
And I get that. But I think moving past, there's no, how do you bring Team Hell No back and have them lose legitimately in this scenario without it being some kind of, everybody came out looking okay. Daniel stood up 2 against 1. Kane, broken ankle, tried, they lost, but boys, we gave it a great effort.
Yeah. Yeah, and really that's all you can ask for on it because again, the big problem is that they seem to be worried with they seem to be waiting for that moment where the fans say, "Oh no, you're not doing it. We will make you make Daniel Bryan the champion again." But right now the roster is so good that it's not a definite we will make you make this guy champion anymore because
Yeah,
is Daniel Bryan that much better than AJ Styles? That much better than Samoa Joe? Not really. He's good, but he's not so much better than them that they would say, no, we'll accept them too.
yeah, it's not the uproar it was 2013 of no, this is our guy, and fuck you if you don't choose him.
Yeah.
It's not that. It started, I guess, late 2012 or so, where literally everything like it was. There's more diverse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this one's cool too. Like,
Yeah.
we're okay with this. It doesn't necessarily have to be this guy. Like,
Yeah.
we'd like this guy, but I'm also okay with this guy.
Yeah. And and really that's the plus on it where WWE's signed enough good indie darlings, good Ring of Honor talent, good TNA talent, good Japanese talent. They don't have one guy anymore. There's a lot of people that if you're not a fan of them, you'll be fine with any of them. And that would basically go to what would come up for the next viewpoint on this one. Another one of those guys in Kevin Owens versus Braun Strowman.
Still Cage.
Yep. And this was actually the plus on this one, where the whole rest of the match was normal, but really, steel cage matches kind of suck in WWE because of the escape the cage move. And I know it was a code from the Bruno Sammartino era of he beats you up so badly he can just walk away from you and leave you there pathetic. But now it's a race for who can get away from the other person first.
I just got completely confused because I don't know how you got match order out of whack, but this match happened before the Bludgeon Brothers match.
Oh,
Maybe that might be my end out, but
I might have.
I have it listed. Yeah.
Yeah, probably will.
Anyway,
Probably didn't get it. That's the weakness of too much pain go bye bye juice. It goes away. It ends up with some problems like that.
and I said before we went live, uh, internet kind of went to shit on this one from the cage being lowered to everything that's happened in the last few weeks
Mm-hmm.
build up to
Yeah,
actually seeing the finish. Like I didn't see any of the match
yeah.
except for
Well,
the
that's one of
aftermath.
the things of it where Most of these matches are pretty much straightforward. How can you be excited for a match where someone's trying to run away from the other person? At
Yeah,
least
and
this match was what worked because it subverted that whole problem on it. Because Kevin Owens won by he got these hands.
Kevin Owens got thrown off the top of the cage through the Raw announce team table.
Yep.
So his feet touch first. He wins.
Mm-hmm. And so
And
everybody wins on this one. Braun Strowman gets to beat the crap out of Kevin Owens. Braun Strowman doesn't get the win, but he stood tall and everyone really knows he won.
yeah,
Meanwhile, Kevin Owens technically gets a win, which means that now Shania Twain is required to sing "When" for him.
Shania Twain. Oh. Sorry,
Yep,
crush from a long time ago.
yep.
Did anything actually happen in the match
Not really,
worth
no.
noting? Okay.
Not really.
And he can only see Shania Twain, if he's still alive. Excuse me,
Yes.
still alive. Because that was freaking.
Well, at the very least, on this one, either he goes to heaven on this one and he gets an angel who sing it for him, or he goes to hell where country music is always playing, and so he'll get it played for him.
Damn, you just threw a whole genre of music under the bus.
Well, I will say that from the rock styles of it, I do play a lot of country music backwards for the messages. Not for any satanic messages, but because he gets his wife back, he gets his kids back, he gets his truck back, he gets his dog back, he gets his job back.
You're something else, Greeny.
Yes, I am. Well, you've got to remember, I'm from the Northeast. We don't have much country music up here.
I can't really speak on this much as far as the match goes,
Mm-hmm.
except for the finish. And I agree with you. Like, it's another one of the matches, like, everybody came out a winner.
Yep.
Literally more than others. Like, KO
Yeah.
actually won the match. Braun is still does Braun things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kind of dumb, like if you think about it. Like if I throw him off the top of this cage, he wins. But
Yeah.
also kind of smart, like, well, I don't have to worry about him anymore because he did.
Yeah. And really, that's the point because when you compare this Braun's loss to Asuka's loss, that says it all. Because with with Asuka's loss, there was a title on the line. So
Yeah.
if Asuka gets revenge on James Ellsworth when he's beaten, she can still lose a title by losing to Carmella. But if Braun and Owens had nothing on the line there, so all Braun had to do was throw the guy off the cage. Who cares if the record book says that Kevin Owens wins? Everybody knows that Braun Strowman beat that boy down.
Can we give credit to the insane spots Kevin Owens goes through?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the
Good
pluses.
God.
I mean, when you come up from hardcore promotions in Quebec, you do some hardcore shit. When you
Oh,
come
yeah.
up from CZW, you'll do hardcore shit.
But the fact that they're allowing that on WWE TV and he's okay with there's and I'm a Kevin Owens all the way back to Kevin Steen.
Mm-hmm.
Love the dude. He's really, really great.
Mm-hmm.
But the spots he's been doing lately, like, good lord.
Well, that's always been one of Kevin Owens' greatest things on it because for someone who does a lot of hardcore spots and does a lot of insane shit like that, Owens has never been much of a bleeder. And so he's the
Yeah.
perfect hardcore legend for the current era on it because he can get hardcore things and make you think he dead. without bleeding and risking the wellness things. It's actually a
Yeah,
pretty good talent he has.
yeah. That's what I was, and I don't think he gets enough credit for. Um, Maybe he does. Maybe just don't. But dude, like you, the ladder spot, the this spot, and okay, the you get things like the porta potty spot, like
Mhm.
not so hardcore. It's just,
Hey,
but damn,
he went in after Liv Morgan on Taco Night, so he had ended up with something there. Callbacks, people. That's what we can do here.
well, I just I'm not sure. I would have to, I guess, question. Like, you want me to do what again? Like, didn't I just fall off a ladder like last month, like through tables, and you want me to do it again? Like, I'd probably do it. I would probably kill myself trying, but
Yeah, but
he's
it just goes with the same thing with pro wrestling on it. You'll be surprised what someone's willing to do for a company where they know they're going to get paid for it. So,
yeah, yeah. But I think more than that, that's what I roundabout getting. It kind of comes across that it's not even about the money. It's like, sure, I'll get I'll have the crowd in a frenzy. I'll be talked about on Twitter, and
yeah,
it's like I'll not company man's not what I'm trying to say, but like, fuck it, I'll do it
yeah,
if that makes sense. And that dude's been, and this is even before WWE days. He That dude had hellacious spots. Sammy almost breaking his neck through a ladder in Ring of Honor.
hmm
Like, that spot was insane. I'm sure. He always seems to be, but like you say, he's not a bleeder. He doesn't get hurt. Like, he has been hurt, but
yeah. But if
it's not
nothing
like
else,
a,
he knows how to pull this stuff off, and that's really good at being a safe person to do it. Like
yeah.
it's the same thing with the Hell in a Cell spot where he instinctively knew how to get to the announce table to break his fall. So
Yeah. And yeah, people will gripe like, oh, we see you moving. We see you trying to get to your spot. What the fuck do you want them to do?
yeah,
You want them, he's looking out for everybody.
yeah,
He's looking out for himself. He's looking out for Shane. Okay, so they wiggled a few inches up to make the spot safe.
yeah, yeah.
There,
That's the
there,
type of thing that you should want them to do.
yeah. It might take a little bit away visually, but it's nothing to gripe about. Like, make a big fuss. Well, we saw you wiggling up the table, and we knew you were fine. You weren't. Like, shut the fuck up with that.
Yeah.
Which leads us to, Roman versus Bobby
Well,
Lashley.
luckily we talked about that match already, so we
Okay,
can
yeah, I didn't know if there was anything else to.
not really.
And which leads us to Nia versus Alexa.
And this was just it was what we expected it was going to be.
It was a bad match that had nothing to do with either one of them.
Yeah. The one thing I'll give it is that when Alexa finally got her definitive win over Nia Jax, at least it was a hardcore match. Because really, Alexa would have no business beating Nia clean as a sheet.
Yeah. And Alexa took a bump through a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
She did do that.
Yep.
But we knew coming in that this it was all about Ronda
Yeah,
having a ticket to the show,
yeah,
and
and
they
those
made it
paid
even more
so much
clear with.
attention to the show. They could see her on Instagram during Corbin versus Balor.
They even said it. The
Yeah,
announcers, Ronda's on Instagram. What the?
yeah, yeah. At least try and sell the Ronda Rousey is a serious student of the sport who's trying to get better at every moment on this one.
It was just so. This might be both women matches tonight were so bad.
Well, that's what it works. This is the 3-year anniversary of the women's revolution, and no horsewoman was on the card.
Yeah. I um, asked this question last week sometime. Isn't this since call ups the first time no horsewomen even pre-show been on a
Yeah,
card? Okay.
but it would make sense since both Charlotte and Sasha were big stars for most of it, and then Becky could get on a card or two. Bailey could get on some cards. So
Charlotte's out for obvious reasons.
yeah,
Whatever the fuck they're doing with Bailey and Sasha.
well,
Like
at least with Bailey Sasha, it's pretty straightforward because they're doing it to make the match happen in Brooklyn.
well,
And
yeah, but at least give them a spot, even if it's basically a rerun from Raw, therapy. Give them something. And Becky and her winning streak on SmackDown,
mhm,
and it just. And my problem with both the women's matches, again, to reiterate, it wasn't about the four women in the matches.
yeah,
It wasn't about Alexa versus Nia. It wasn't about Carmella versus Asuka. It was about
yeah,
James Ellsworth and Ronda Rousey.
yeah. And that's really the problem on this one because both of those matches were stuff where they had to be about the women, the people not in the match, because there's no way that you could buy Alexa Bliss beating Nia Jax clean. There's no way you could buy Carmella beating Asuka clean. So you had to be about the people outside of the match because that's the only way you can get to a point where it's okay. I buy that they can beat them.
So obviously Alexa retains.
Mm-hmm.
Nia came down to the ring with Natalia by her side, which was kind of, I get it, but um, it made sense at the end of how everything happened and Ronda, how Mickey and Alexa were attacking. I
Yeah,
think it was Mickey at the time, and Ronda saying that she's had enough, so she jumped the barricade. But Natalia coming down with Nia was like, okay, it's either going to go the way it did, or is Natalia actually going to turn here? Because that's been the big talk of Natalia's going to turn.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't think that Natalia's turning until Ronda gets the belt.
Yeah, and that was kind of if it. I don't want to say obvious, but if when she does turn, it's going to be at that point.
Yeah,
But this whole, like I say, both women's matches were just so. Uh,
yeah,
this
and
one
that's
more
really the
so
problem
because
where neither match probably could have been good, but at least there was a chance of it because they could have had hope, but they just weren't good because they're just are what they are.
yeah, it was just another one of those you know what you're getting going into, hope for the best and expect the worst. And we got kind of in between, probably more on the spectrum of expect the worst. Because no offense to the four women that were actually wrestling, It was just there's so much pop and circumstance. It didn't have anything to do with the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could say Ellsworth in a shark cage had something to do with the match, but that was
Well, at least that was a good thing because, at least for most of those people, they can't really give you a X's and O's 10-minute excellent work rate match. They'll get you snowflakes and stuff like that.
yeah,
All four of those women, well, maybe not Asuka, but the other three women are better served in a match, which is a lot of pageantry, a lot of ballyhoo, a lot of just everything happens except actual wrestling.
yeah.
So
It's
they at least booked those matches kind of right for it, but
they
they,
booked him accordingly,
yeah,
obviously. But
yeah, they played to their strengths, which is all you can hope
yeah,
for.
and to that degree, it it worked, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. But
Yeah,
they were just so bad to actually sit through and like I'm not a
yeah,
big you know predictor guy or told you so or I, sometimes I'm right, but this was just foreshadowed so far in advance once the matches were announced and stipulations. Okay, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen, and they happened, and there wasn't a big um, not surprised like somebody won that I didn't think was gonna win. There wasn't a big to do. Okay,
yeah,
well that's the blandest way you could have done those two matches.
yeah. Speaking of bland matches, we have our main event.
No, you skipped AJ versus Rusev.
Oh, then we don't have the main event for it because there was an actual good match for this.
Yes, this was a really I like this match.
Yeah, this was another one of those tropes aren't bad matches because it was basically your textbook. Rusev is not ready for AJ as a contender. Yeah,
It was, and I'm kind of not bored, but and this is kind of weird because like depending on what day it is, and not no pun intended, I promise. Like I'm all on board, Rusev Day, and then like oh god, it's so not what actually happens on screen, but people like talking about it, Twitter, social media, like things that don't have anything to do with Rusev, like but it's Rusev Day, like that shit got old a while
yeah.
back. I like the Rusev Day gimmick. I don't like
Well,
the interjection.
at least that was the plus where before I thought that Rusev was just a big meme and that's why it was so popular on it, but it's been a few months on this one, and all we know is that Lana was one of the most hated people in wrestling for it. She was seen as having no value whatsoever. She was seen as being a complete net negative, having one of the lower value over Mike Bennett's in the professional wrestling industry. And yet, somehow, she managed to turn face because of being affiliated with Rusev Day. That's the best sign to say that, yeah, Rusev Day is for real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's for real. Like, it's going through the trimesters of trimesters might not be the right word. It's going through like, is this just a thing that happens every so often? Is this legitimate? Oh shit, we're about to have a baby. Like literally, like it's gone through that transition period of like it's in my book stood the time of okay we're because fans crowds turn so fast that I was worried that will Rusev Day, and like I say, my only output is when, especially hashtag Rusev Day gets brought up when nobody's talking about Rusev Day. But that goes for anything when somebody interjects something that has nothing to do with conversation.
Yeah. But all it goes is that even then, the whole Rusev Day thing is the best example of the B team that went earlier on it, where most of the roster right now are pretty good, and if you give anybody on the roster some proper minutes, they'll probably be able to put on some good programming. So, and this is
Yeah.
just an example of it, and it turned Rusev, Aiden English, and Lana into big stars.
Right. It's catapulted them into they were kind of there in, what was it, 14 with Rusev Crush, Rusev Mashka, with those kind of, but this is like a different kind of realm of, oh shit, because the crowd was chanting Rusev Day during a match prior in the show.
Yeah.
And no, it wasn't the Roman Reigns match. But
Well, they also did it during Roman Reigns, so
yeah, but they got real loud. I can't remember exactly what match off the top of my head. Rusev Day, Rusev, like that's different than, they weren't chanting, they weren't, and I don't want to say takeover, they kind of did, but they weren't chanting, Rusev Crush, 4 years ago.
yeah.
But now they're emphatically seeking, which yeah does kind of get annoying.
Well,
It's
it was just bound to happen on it because they weren't chanting Rusev Crush 4 years ago, but they knew he was good. And if you noticed on it, just the Rusev and or Rusev and Summer Rae versus Lana and Dolph Ziggler feud from 2015, it was a terrible feud, and everybody knew it was a terrible feud, but people went through it and looked. Rusev and Summer Rae are killing themselves to make this feud over. And then you realized, holy shit, one day Rusev's going to be in a comedy gimmick and he's going to nail it. This guy has incredible comic timing.
and I was just speaking to one of my good friends last night, where he's really soured on WWE, but he tries to keep up and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And what we spent the most time talking about was Rusev and his comedic timing. Like, he is just so good, especially with the, I forget the phone commercial that I hadn't seen, but he's him handling, and then the Snickers Dollar General.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Rusev is gold. It's right there.
Yeah.
He he can do so much, and it's hard to say like who's being the biggest waste of talent right now, because to some degree a lot are, and not about booking, just about like what could be, and Rusev is right there, pretty close to the top of the list of what Rusev could be.
Well, yeah, but that's also the plus on it with the same fact that there's differences in wasted talent on it because really it is everybody's good enough so you can say that pretty much everybody on the roster is talented, but there's no if anybody's truly a waste of talent, it's more like the people like Rich Swann, Enzo Amore, Big Cass, who flamed out when they really shouldn't have on those ones. those are the real wastes of talent on it. But
Well, all three of them kind of
they
wasted their
brought it
own
on
talent.
themselves.
Yeah,
But that's really the difference on it because most of the
I may
people,
have, I may have misused waste,
yeah,
and I was trying to not use that term, but so much potential that maybe one day they'll see. I mean, they saw it before with the undefeated streak, and then WrestleMania 31 with Cena. He came in a fucking tank. Like
yeah,
they see something there. There's a where do we go from? It always seems like there's a where do we go from here? What do we do from here with him?
yeah. Well, it really just goes with the case where at least everybody's in the case where they could scratch the surface, but and if you give anybody the time on this one, you'll probably get good TV out of it, with the exception possibly of Jinder Mahal. But even Jinder Mahal had some moments, I guess.
Yeah, and last week on Raw, uh, and I saw some things like and um, not literally meaning so, but like is Jinder like binging on coke or something? That backstage segment he had, like they didn't literally mean like is he doing drugs? Just it was a different side of him, and they liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's such a, I guess for lack of a better way of putting it, factory. Like there is so much talent, not just in the ring, but WWE wouldn't be having them if they didn't have some reason to, like even outside of the ring.
Yep. And really, that's how it goes right now. So
That
really, AJ may have gotten the win, but this wasn't about Rusev was going to win now. This was going to say, okay, Rusev's a true main eventer. Where
yeah,
we listen, and that's a plus on because at least it's saying he heard you.
yeah.
You got through to us.
You can lose and still move up the card if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. And that's something that a lot of fans don't really accept anymore because they feel like if my favorite didn't win all the time, they've been buried.
Yeah, that's not how it works. Rusev, in my eyes, moved up the card tonight, even in a loss. He was already moved up the card, in my opinion, but tonight really solidified. Like, okay, now and you can go a lot of directions with him moving forward.
Yep, and that really ties to it because with Randy Orton's heel turn, at least now you can possibly turn Rusev heel. Before tonight, you really couldn't because SmackDown was just too weak on heels to turn Rusev.
Yeah, I think you said turn Rusev heel, and I think you meant turn Rusev face.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Now and see that this conversation could go on about the variables of people injured, people, you know. But now you have Randy Orton come back, come back as a heel, turn as a heel. Okay, so now you can replace Rusev as a top heel or a upper mid card heel. Replace that with Orton somehow, somewhere, and now you have Rusev as face. The only problem with that is AJ still has the belt.
yeah,
But Randy turning again tonight helped a lot of alignment issues.
yeah, yeah, because
And
that's traditional fantasy booking on it. Where if you have too many in abundance on one side, just make a random heel turn on the other side, just to give someone and even things out of it.
yeah, I mean that's fantasy booking, Wrestling 101, kind of a downfall of Raw and SmackDown's women divisions is they're always seem to be so lopsided. You either have a lot of heels, a lot of faces, and it. Moving on to the main event. Dun, dun, dun. Is a 30-man Iron Man match even considered extreme? To me, that's just a stipulation. That's not extreme.
Yeah. And that one, there's a lot of different ways that can be said on this one, but the only way that can be really said for this we here at Whacked Out Wrestling would like to give you the info of a very sad thing going on. We would like to
Please don't.
promote the sincere putting down of Seth Rollins. They ruined him tonight. They
I don't think so. I don't think so by any
got
stretch.
the 3-0 lead and didn't win the match to Dolph Ziggler.
Andrew McIntyre.
Mm-hmm. At least then, McIntyre only had a couple of moments in the match. This blew a 3-0 lead to the coldest person on the roster. This was just bad. You blew it here. Rollins was the hottest thing on the show before they went with this angle, ostensibly to graduate him, and then they just destroyed him. This was just bad.
Granny, you're wrong on this one.
I might be on this one, but this just seemed like the textbook of a bad match for them on it. And before this Dolph Ziggler feud started, Rollins could have been the next one. Now
And
I don't see it.
I'm not trying to say your opinion is wrong. Like no opinion can ever be wrong.
No
I
problem.
just see it completely differently to some degree. Seth Rollins is not ruined, in my opinion. Yes, he did get up 3-0, and then you had McIntyre interfere. Dolph hit, I think, a super kick to get 3-1, and that after McIntyre wouldn't leave, Dolph hit him with I think, a famous here, got it to 3-2, like all within a span of a minute and a half. So got it right there. By now, Seth's been double teamed a lot. He's hurt. He's injured. He's trying to regroup. Dolph gets another fall, makes it 3-3. You're by this point, you're really reminding viewers of how babyface Seth is. Like you're, and how if what this did was get so much heat on Dolph and Drew. Like you slimy sons of bitches. This is how this is gonna go.
And I can see they got some heat on him in the match, but even then, it's basically just he was red hot on this one, and Ziggler was ice cold on it. And after the feud's ended, Rollins has been cooled off to the point he's fallen back to earth on it, and Ziggler is still ice cold because Dolph Ziggler is just ice cold right now.
Well, you know me, Dolph Ziggler will.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been a couple times where Dolph is warmed up a little bit, but Dolph is so Dolph. Yeah. But I think it's more of a more like it may have brought Seth down a little bit, but it brought Dolph and Drew up a little.
Mhm.
Drew already brought Dolph up some. Unfortunately, Drew's with Dolph, and that's a whole another topic because that's the most fucked up.
Mhm.
Wow, I mean, just have him come in as a big sociopath that Dolph keeps saying he is
Mhm.
by himself. Don't put him with Dolph because that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But finally, after it was actually 3-2, and the ref kicks Dolph out, back up from ringside. And no, it was 3-0. What got set the third fall was Drew interfering, causing a disqualification that set the 3-0 advantage. And then Drew went outside the ring, came back, and beat up Seth some more. Like, shouldn't that be another fall for Rollins? Like, shouldn't that be another disqualification and Rollins should be up 4-0? Like, that made no sense. The ref was even confused at one of the falls where he was trying to ring the bell. Like, dude, you don't ring a bell in the Iron Man match. That's okay. And then Dog got in commentary had to keep reminding us two falls within 2 minutes or something like that. And the third fall, so we're tied 3-3. Dolph does a little sneaky roll up, gets up 4-3. And we're down to
Yeah.
3 or 4 minutes, and Seth gets a 4-4 tie. And then we're down to seconds, and Seth hits a superplex into a Falcon Arrow,
Yeah.
and can't quite crawl fast enough to cover Dolph before time runs out. So we're tied at 4-4.
Yeah. But that's perfectly straightforward on that one, and that's just common face versus heel booking in the Iron Man match. But then when they go with the overtime one, you assume that means that Rollins is going to win in overtime.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, Kurt Angle's, yeah, Dolph's music already hit. He's already walking up the ramp, and then Angle's music hits. And no, we're not going to finish like that. Nobody in the WWE universe wants to see it end like this. Not in a tie, not in a draw. So we're
Yeah.
going to do a one fall. Whoever wins this fall wins. It's a sudden death overtime. And Seth is just ecstatic in the ring, jumping up and down like, hell yeah. And Dolph is all like, no, I retain. It's a draw. I'll keep my championship. Dolph goes in the ring. Before anything happens, here comes Drew back from the crowd, distracts Seth. Dolph hits a famous here, and we're left with Dolph winning in sudden death overtime and the most fucked up finish I've seen. I don't make overtime if that's how the overtime's gonna go.
Yeah. And
Like at least get
that's really the whole problem on this one, where if if Ziggler was going to win, at least have him get out by the skin of his teeth with a draw. That works with Ziggler's gimmick.
yeah.
Having overtime and then they win by a double team does nothing for it.
And if you're gonna call an overtime spot here, at least let them duke it out for another few minutes, not a few seconds. Like at least but not right away. Like the initial ending tie was okay. They tied, champion retains, okay, but then Angle coming out. No, that's not how we're gonna end things here. We're going to sudden death, and the fucking crowd popped. I popped like hell yeah, and then for it to be literally a few seconds, same result. Dolph's music still playing. Dolph still retaining.
Yeah.
That the ending to me, the last as bad as some of the matches were, the last 5, maybe 6 minutes was the worst part of the show.
Yeah. And that's really the big issue on this one, where this should have, if they were getting the Intercontinental title off Rollins, it should have been his graduation moment. Okay, you're done with Perdition in the Intercontinental title division. You're back in the title scene. You're back on your quest to be the man. And this one, it didn't do that. It just felt like they brought him back down to earth.
I'm thinking that, or I say thinking, I'm at least hoping that the earlier Brock saying that this was done to get Seth out of the IC picture
Mm-hmm.
to be able to vie for the Universal. That's really the only way it makes sense, I guess. That's
Yeah.
what okay. I'm done with Dolph. I'm done with the IC. Ooh, here's a vacant Universal Championship. Let me put my head in or my ring in the hat.
Yeah. And that's really the only way it made sense there, but that was pretty much it.
Overall, it was a C to,
Yeah.
B minus show. It wasn't an F or a D, not an A or a B. There some spots were, but overall, I think it was a
Yeah.
solid C, if not a B minus.
Yeah. I'd say it's a C show on this one, but considering that Money in the Bank was a D show and Backlash was an F, it's a C in the C's get degrees method, not a C just average show.
Yeah,
Something's happening here, but it's not really there yet. But you can see that it's getting better.
yeah. Like we said earlier, like you can see the steps, the baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
Before we are we done reviewing?
Yep.
Okay. Couple little things, real quick tidbits. Um, I'm also co-host of Violent Wrestling Podcast. Airs Wednesday nights, random times, but always on Wednesday nights.
Mm-hmm.
There's Two Guys One Sport. You can follow on Twitter or YouTube. And didn't bring my list with me, so I'm just gonna say for a while.
Yep.
Do you
Yeah,
remember
there's a
any?
lot of different podcasts in our network. Just search on most of them, and hopefully we'll get people to actually listen to us and actually get more hype on these ones to go through. So just keep watching them. And this was Whacked Out Wrestling.
And you can find us on Twitter at Smark City. We have a website, thismarkcity.com, and articles will be coming shortly, not just um, podcast. We'll
Mm-hmm.
start writing again and all that good stuff.
Yep. Until
Have a good night.
have a good night. Until then, Whacked Out Wrestling.
Whacked Out Wrestling. Peace.
Peace.